Hello, welcome to class. It's week 7, and this is project management. This week we have a couple of assignments, but before we get into what's required for this week, I'd like to find an appropriate time to look at a typical IT project here with Dilbert. The consultants and IT guys say that the software upgrade will be written and rolled out in 3 months. And Dilbert says, has any project of this complexity ever been completed by the estimated finish date? Response is, oh, not yet. We're confident, though, we'll be the first. And Dilbert responds, is that because you're doing things differently from all those who failed before? No, we're doing things exactly the same way as all the people who failed. Dilbert was, do you see what I'm getting at here? The response, no, not really. And we also expect to be on budget, which Wally snorts into his coffee. And again, this is typical, the optimism that this will be the first project that is going to come in on schedule and on budget, especially when it's dealing with some new technologies or things that haven't been done before, people who haven't done it before. There's an unfailing optimism at the beginning of the project. Okay, moving right along. Let's look at the discussion for this week. Projects today often run in a virtual world. Team members or resources don't even interact with each other throughout the project. How does a project manager keep a team motivated, moving in the right direction for project success? Now, when they say the team members or resources don't interact, I think we're referring here they don't interact in a face-to-face basis. They may not be in the same building, or they may not be in the same state, or they may not be in the same country. But obviously, because the project has to knit together the different aspects of the requirements, they must be interacting through the project. Okay, so we're not talking about they're not interacting at all. They're just not interacting in a normal way that we think of a project team sitting around a table together and discussing things. However, this is actually more and more the case where complicated projects get farmed out to different outsourcing. Different companies may be working on different pieces of the project. So for this particular exercise, you need to determine how the project manager is going to work with a virtual team, how to keep them coordinated, how to keep them moving in the right direction, how to keep them motivated and all geared towards the success of the project. For the second assignment, you're to review the case study in front of you here. It's fairly short, hardly a case study, more like a paragraph, but it gets across the main ideas of project management as you have experienced or are beginning to learn. Isn't necessarily a simple thing to do. It sounds wonderful to be titled the project manager because you're in charge. However, all the complexities that may arise and the conflicting outcomes that may occur and the pull and push for resources or more time or more money all put the project manager kind of in the sights of many of the stakeholders when it comes to holding somebody responsible. So you're going to be evaluating this from the standpoint of an HR professional who is going to be looking at the plan for recruiting project managers. What kind of a job description, what sort of requirements are you going to be looking for? So that would be question number 1. Question number 2 looks at the qualities and personal characteristics that support a higher likelihood of success. So the project managers are successful in projects and they also stick around, they don't burn out. And then what things do you think would make it difficult for somebody successful as a project manager? All right, the 2 assignments. You have your discussion post and you have your case study. Keys to success for this week. As you're thinking about the discussion, we'll be thinking in terms of, again, a team of people, but more of a virtual team. Now, my brother works for Honeywell, and he's a project manager, and he has people that work on his project. Some of them are in India, and some of them are in the Philippines, and some of them are in Puerto Rico. He actually lives out on a farm in Minnesota and runs this project or monitors the project from a corner of his kitchen. This I don't think is all that unusual. It seems a little unusual when you first run into it and you talk to him about all the different people that he has working for him all scattered around the world, and he's running it from his kitchen table in Minnesota. But actually that's not an unusual situation. So you have to understand, what is the virtual team? How can this possibly be organized? And some of the reasons that this occurs, of course, is that the expertise that you need for a particular project may exist, but they may not exist in your company. They may exist in different parts of the world. So you may have to go after the best people, but they may be in China, or they may be in Brazil, or they may be in England, or wherever, and you don't have to necessarily move them. They just need to be guided in terms of their contribution to the project. One of the driving forces also is that there can be huge cost savings by outsourcing parts of the project. IT professionals in India come at about the third of the cost of the same level of competence in the United States. And so if you can outsource coding or some other aspect of your IT project to India, you're probably going to get a good quality product as well as a significant cost savings. And that, as a project manager, you would be looking for that. Then also, just because of the way many projects now are dependent upon computer code of some sort, you may be able to move the different parts of the project anywhere in the world instantaneously. In fact, sometimes it's faster to send an email to the other side of the world, to China, than it is to send an email to somebody across the hallway from you at your local office. Because the nature of the project in many cases is dependent among computer coding and electronic documents, and electronic graphics, and electronic music or sounds, that can all be sent anywhere in the world almost instantaneously. So there's no reason that you have to have a geographic centrality to your project to be able to work on it. So keep those things in mind as you talk about your discussion this week. And then on the case study, before you start talking about the types of people that would be good project managers, think about what are the particular features of projects that can make life miserable for a project manager. What is specific that we've talked about? Remember in the very first week we talked about, why is a project different from everyday work? What makes a project special? Okay? What are those features that could really put pressure on a project manager as the deadline starts approaching, or your clients that you're doing it for, your stakeholders, become very uneasy about the results that they're seeing? Okay, so first, before you answer the questions, think about the job of project management. Secondly, think about how being a project manager fits into one's overall career path. Okay, suppose you're working in a bank or in a large insurance company, and you were a project manager for an IT project to develop a new ATM or electronic credit card system. Okay, how would working on that project perhaps not be to your benefit in terms of moving up the ranks of assistant vice president and vice president and senior vice president and executive vice president to the top of the organization? How would be a project manager perhaps not be the best career choice? And then you can go back and then look at the case questions, and I think you'd be better prepared to answer those. So you know how to reach me if you have any questions, comments. And so until next week, goodbye and good luck.